and welcome to Wrestling and Everything, Coast to Coast, with your host, Buddy Sotelo Esquire and effervescent Evan Ginsberg. Tonight, we have a very special return guest, a man I hold in high esteem and high regard, and that is Matt Classic Creed from the Atlantic Independent Wrestling Federation. I just want to say international when I see I and think wrestling, but the I stands for Independent Wrestling Federation. And welcome back to our show tonight.
Thanks. Glad to be here, guys.
So, first thing, I could take the entire hour talking about her, is that you recommended Ava Brooks to us, and you introduced us to her.
Yes, our women's champion. She's had that belt for a little over a year right now. Yeah.
Well deserved. And we booked her out here, her first show in Northern California, and she was a huge success. Did she ever give you any input on her time out in California?
Yeah, she said she enjoyed it. I know she enjoyed it. She was surprised she got booked out there, but she enjoyed it. And like I said, she's great. She's only been in the business a little under 2 years, so she actually was just in Ontario, Canada, as well about 2 weeks ago.
She is, even though she's only been in the business for a couple of years, she acted herself in like she'd been in the business for 10 years. And she was so professional and so likable and did such a good job in the ring that I think she's going to be the sky's the limit for her as far as where her talent is and what she's going to be able to accomplish.
Yeah, totally. She's great talent. We love having her as our women's champion. AIWF Wrestling, we're doing great as a whole. Like I said, we got over 150 promotions in 58 countries, and I mean we're killing it right now.
That's great. Pardon me. There's a little bit of allergy season going on here in Northern California. We just had a bunch of rain earlier this week, and then it got hot. So like everything is pollinating itself like crazy out here. Evan can attest. Allergies are sometimes a real bear, no matter where you live. I'm sure.
I'm just going to sit here and watch Russell cough for the next hour.
I know. I'll have to. One of those oxygen masks is going to come down from the ceiling here. I'm going to have to put it on. But so save me, Evan. Ask a few questions so I can
absolutely
put on the mute.
So we're talking about Ava Brooks. How important is networking in pro wrestling in 2026? The connection between all of your promotions and then going on various podcasts and spreading the word on social media. How important is that today?
I mean, I think it's as important as any time, but you have different media avenues compared to what you had, pre-internet age, pre-social media age. But I mean, it's all about who you know. It's all about making that connection. Like, look, I vouched for Ava, and y'all booked her out there, and I mean that definitely helped, and that's what the whole purpose of the AIWF is, and that's what I've done for the past 20 years in pro wrestling. And like I said, it's very important. I think you have to build your brand. Brand building is number one, and marketing is number one. And like social media and the internet, that's the way to do it these days versus television and radio that you had in the past, or print media even.
So what are the logistics? Let's say, for example, you have a big card to push. Do you ask all of your affiliates to promote it? Do you send out a memo? Hey guys, let's get behind this particular show. Let's get behind this particular wrestler. This promoter's struggling. Let's try to give him a boost. I mean, how does it all work? I mean, it's bigger than the NWA. You have so many promotions.
Oh yeah, I mean, our big shows, we generally plan them as a group. I mean, thanks to technology, we can have Zoom meetings. We can have, virtual boardrooms, and we can discuss stuff over text and chat. And but if somebody's struggling, they'll usually reach out, and I'll try to get them help and let them know. But thankfully, nobody's really struggling too bad right now. I'll give it to wrestling is in a great spot right now.
Well, yeah, don't you feel it's kind of like around where it was in the early 2000s? Like that kind of, especially at the independent level. I mean, things were so bad during COVID, and everyone had pulled back so much, and now there's kind of an explosion of indie feds here in California. I'm sure it's the same where you're at.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I think everybody's doing well enough to keep in business and a little better, and so that's what you want instead of struggling and having to shut down. And like, I'm worried that you're going to see too many promotions in one area. Like you are starting to see that a little more again, but for the most part, I mean, like I said, we keep ours geographically enough apart so we don't affect each other like that. But yeah, like where I live, there's like maybe two promotions, so it's kind of interesting.
I also think that with the major promotions, the prices being so incredibly high. For example, WWE was just at Madison Square Garden last week, and the cheapest ticket was $122.
Woo.
So you take a family of four, and that's in the nosebleeds at the top of the building. So you're talking for a family of four, that's $500 before you walk in the door, with the fees and everything. And then you have parking and food and gimmicks and everything else. You're looking at close to $1,000. And you go to an indie and it's 15, 20, $25 or whatever. And you can have a good time and it's reasonable. It's like going to a movie. It's a whole different, situation. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think you definitely have to keep it affordable. You want that family to come. You want little Johnny, his dad. You want grandpa and grandma to come. You want the whole gambit of generations to come and enjoy. And I mean, as on the independent level, you're trying to get them in the door so they spend money on other things. Like you want them to spend money on the concessions. You want them to spend money at the gimmick table. So I mean, you just got to get them in the door. It's kind of like what PT Barnum would do. You just got to get them in the door.
Yet you see TKO taking a completely opposite stance. They announced to the whole world that Vince McMahon was too nice and he was too generous to families, and that they really want to try to focus the WWE product on the rich single guy that has money to burn rather than the family that's trying to, a blue collar family that's trying to entertain a bunch of people for less than they would like going to an NBA game or an NFL game. It's the exact opposite now, at least stated by TKO and the WWE.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with that strategy, but yeah, that's what is becoming. I heard they're having a real hard time selling tickets in Vegas right now for Mania. So I mean, we'll have to see what they do with it. But I mean, they want those record profits. So I mean, I understand what they're doing, but I don't agree with it.
Yeah, I don't see why the philosophy of we rather sell one seat at 1,000 than 10,000 seats at 100, is going to wind up being something that you really want overall to be the legacy of your product. And they really are cutting out a lot of future generations. That's one thing that I appreciate about indie wrestling. And one thing that you pointed out, you said you want the kids to be able to go. You want children to be able to appreciate your products because that's where the future is. If it dies out in a generation because nobody but rich older guys can afford to go to wrestling, where is the future going to come from?
I'm seeing more and more people online and friends saying, I don't go to the movies anymore. It costs so much between the tickets and the popcorn and the soda. You're looking at over $100 for a family to go see a movie that's going to be on cable in a few months. And that's 15 or $16 a ticket, as opposed to hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for a WWE show. Sometimes five figures for a WWE ticket to a WrestleMania. So the economy is not in a great place. So you have to provide entertainment. Like minor league baseball is still very reasonable, and indie wrestling. Indie wrestling's a bargain. It's worth supporting. It's a different experience. You meet the wrestlers, you get autographs, you take pictures. You can't get near the WWE guys anymore unless you're willing to spend three figures on an autograph.
Yeah, very true. I mean, independent wrestling, you get that close up experience. The guys they appreciate, guys and girls appreciate you being there, and that's how they make their money. So, because I mean, nobody's getting rich on the independents. Let's put it that way.
Right.
So could you walk our fans a little bit through the making of a show and how you put a show together? We don't really talk that much about the nuts and bolts of indie wrestling promotions and what it takes and why what are the challenges that it takes for you to put a show on in your area. So why don't you share with the fans a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, first thing you do, obviously, you make you a budget. Because you got to have the money. Don't run a show without any money and then not be able to pay the boys. I mean, that's number one.
So you never count on ticket sales to pay your expenses.
No. So have your budget and get your sponsors, but you're going to have a lot of sponsors and they'll say they're going to support you, and then when it comes to give you the check, they're not going to give it to you. So be aware of that.
How do you deal with that situation? How do you deal with that situation when sponsors say they're going to pay and then don't?
I mean, you just don't deal with them again in the future. That's about all you can really do, in my opinion. But yeah, like I've had that happen a few times where they said, "Oh, I'll give you 100," or sometimes they might say they're going to give you 100 and they give you 50. So it's like, and that's a little more understandable, but it's like still it cuts into your budget because you're budgeting for your event, and you don't have to budget just for talent. You have to budget for your venue. If you don't have your ring, you have to budget for your ring rental, and all that, and you have advertising. Advertising is still key. I mean, I like putting out posters. I still like putting out posters. But definitely invest in social media marketing, but don't go all in on social media marketing because that's not going to work. So you have to diversify your promoting portfolio, in my opinion. You also have to. Yeah,
what's a ballpark figure for a small indie card? Let's say 6 matches, 2.5 hours.
We know your location prices are going to be different than, say, New York City or San Francisco.
Because in New York, even years ago, it was $5,000 to put on a show, and it's higher than that now.
I mean, with the venue and everything, it just depends on the venue. But I mean, I say on talent alone, you're probably looking at between like 500 and 1,000, depending on who you bring in. Like if you're bringing in a name, of course, go higher. But if you're just bringing in localish, regional guys, most guys are getting $20 to $40 here where I live. So
now, how do you resist the temptation? Because a lot of promoters are like, well, I want to feature all of my talent on the show, so we'll have 27 matches, lasting over 6.5 hours, and they can't say no to anybody who wants to be on the show. How do you cut back on the big matches? What makes you decide what matches make the cut and what matches don't?
I mean, I think you have to set a realistic limit of how many matches you're going to do. I don't like to do more than 8 these days if I can help it. That's my hard limit. I'm not going to say sometimes it's not 9 if somebody tells me, hey, I'm coming into town, especially if it's not costing me much or anything at all. If they're telling me they're just going to be there, I'll be like, cool, come on down. But and I did those crazy shows. Let me tell you about my Tennessee show. Many, many moons ago. 26 matches, 8-hour show. Everybody worked for free, so I didn't have any payroll. But yeah, we had an 8-hour show outside Chattanooga, Tennessee, with 26 matches. We had a 22-team tag team gauntlet on that show. Yeah. So.
Now, what kind of booking did that? I mean, that's like having to book a movie or something like that. You need a director. And
we just saw stuff on the dartboard that night. I'm not even gonna lie. I'll send you some footage from that show actually.
And being in Tennessee, it was like 98 degrees with 90% humidity, or was it in the winter?
No, it was in the winter, but it wasn't too bad. I mean, it was a nice building. The building's still there. I mean, if you're familiar with TWE Chattanooga, it's their building in Red Bank, Tennessee.
I am not. I have driven through it once, but I am not familiar with it. I would say.
They have an old Winn-Dixie grocery store that they turned into an arena out there. It's been about 15 years. It's been open. So
the only city I'm really familiar with in Tennessee is Coosawhatchie.
Oh Lord.
No, only because I drove through there and I just thought that is a name. That's a name of a city you don't get anywhere in California. You don't get anywhere in New York. Coosawhatchie is yours and yours alone in Tennessee. That's someplace you can claim for your own there. So like, do you get a feeling before you put on one of your shows that it's going to be a big show or it's going to struggle? And if so, what do you do about the ones that you think are going to struggle? How do you deal with that?
I mean, sometimes you know, sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you're hopeful for better than it's going to be. Sometimes you think it's going to be terrible and it's going to draw big time. Like I've had them. I thought we'd draw 50 people, and we drew like 500. And I'm like, wow, okay. But I've been doing it so long now. I try to look at people who are in the area, and like I know people that are actually going to physically. I'm going to book people that are physically going to sell tickets. I mean, I'm just being real with you. Like I had a guy recently on a show. Yeah, he sold 17 tickets, but I mean, he told me in advance he had family in the area, and I'm like, okay. I was kind of like hoping for 10. I'm like, okay, if you do 10 tickets, I can give y'all, X amount of money. But
He got
yeah,
17. That's really
yeah,
remarkable.
he sold 17 tickets on his own. Yeah.
Evan, you were about to ask something, Mike. Sorry, stepped on you.
I want to recommend a documentary on indie wrestling. It's called Fake It So Real. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's a tremendous film to the point that Roger Ebert, when he was still alive, when the film came out, he gave it 3.5 stars. And serious, major film critic. It's called Fake It So Real, and it's this mom and pop, indie in the Midwest, and you get to know all the wrestlers, and they're not making any kind of money, and this is their escape from a variety of, personal and family drama, and it's a great, great film, and it really tells the story of, the kids with dreams and big dreams, and many years ago, I'd go to Indies and there was Mick Foley making $50 and, the guy became a millionaire. And, sometimes you dream big and you make it. It's an interesting business. But that's a quality film. Fake It So Real, it's called.
Definitely have to check that one out. But yeah, I mean, you never know who's going to make it. Like I've seen several guys sign with WWE, with TNA, with AEW, and I mean, and I'm glad to see when guys do. But and sometimes it shocks you who gets signed and who doesn't. You're like, oh, really? Okay.
Well,
But I
sometimes
mean,
it's who you know. Again, it
yeah,
goes back to nepotism, cronyism, networking, the good, the bad, and ugly of the business. And WWE, it's everybody's son and daughter and
Yeah, they're
nephew
not
and niece.
embarrassed to admit that, to give, Triple H and Stephanie, 90-minute intros to get into the Hall of Fame where they give Ivan Koloff 90 seconds,
Yeah, exactly.
makes a big
Exactly.
difference. And we just had an interview with somebody who is going to be who's trying to get Dynamite Kid into the Hall of Fame, and how much difficulty that is. You have to get a petition for that, but if it's the Bella twins, they got no problem walking right in there.
I can say the AIWF in our Hall of Fame. Ivan's been in our Hall of Fame for at least 10 years now. Ivan had a very positive impact on our organization. He actually used to be the commissioner of the AIWF Mid Atlantic, actually.
Oh, really? I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, I have a question too. Have you ever been involved in anything that goes on in the ring, or have you always been behind the scenes?
Oh, I did it all.
What other things have you done other than as a promoter?
I mean, I've promoted, I've refereed, I did commentary, I did production, I've ran events. I've ran events in 7 states so far. But I just wrestled 2 weekends ago on my own show. So
Oh,
yeah,
really? You actually got in the ring?
yeah, I got in the ring. Yeah. I
And
got
what was
talked
that
into it.
like? What was that like?
It was all right. It was all right. I survived. No bleeding, no bruises, so I'm okay. No broken bones.
Did you actually have to carry the match by yourself, or was it part of a tag team?
I was in a 6-man tag team match.
There you
It
go.
wasn't
That
too bad.
helps. That helps
Yeah,
when you don't
it,
have to sit
it,
there.
it definitely helps. But yeah, we had a good time. I'm not gonna lie. But I did it because I actually got put in the AIW Hall of Fame at our last event. It was our 34th anniversary event. So
Oh, wow. Did you actually train to wrestle and everything?
Yeah, I actually learned from Chief Jay Eagle. He's a legend down in these parts. He ran South Carolina for 35 years.
Did you take any big moves?
Oh no, not this time. No, heck no.
Yeah, no, you start learning that to carry a match. That's one thing I don't know how wrestlers do. I managed and I took a lot of bumps, but they were, single spot type things, right? They'd be pretty high spots, but I only have to take one of them, and then, it's one great thing about being a manager is that you get to sell everything like $1 million. And even if it's just a punch to the head, you just lie on the floor, and nobody's expecting you to spring right back up and ask for more. But when you got in the ring, what did you do, and who did you face?
Oh, this time I teamed with my buddy Buzz Bloodsaw. I don't know if y'all familiar with him. And my good friend James Anthony. We took on the local hills down here, Seth and Ironhead Anderson and Victor Krause. And I mean, I didn't do too much. I pulled off the stunner. I pulled off a bionic elbow from the second rope and a little splash. That's about all I had to do.
The second rope isn't as like nothing as people think it is. You get some decent height there, and the top rope is scary as hell. If you try to jump off of that.
Well, they tried to talk me into going to this top, and I was like, nah, I'm very comfortable posting on that second rope and coming off, and it was good. But yeah, like I said, I trained under Chief Jay Eagle, but I was young then. I was 18, and I just turned 40, so I'm like, yeah. So I hadn't been in the ring in 15 years till this past weekend. So
wow, well, I'm glad you made it out in one piece. That's quite an accomplishment right there. And as you get a little bit older, into the mid 40s, you'll see that stuff that you used to recover from in a day or so starts taking a week, and then the stuff that used to take a week to recover from takes a month. And then the stuff that used to take a month never heals.
But there are some anomalies, though. Like guys like Mike Jackson, 76, and still wrestling. Like, oh, my God.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that unpredictable Johnny Rods is still training some guys. Mm-hmm. And they had Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant, is supposed to be having his retirement match.
That's what I read about Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy, he has a beautiful facility up in Charlottesville, Virginia. Beautiful house. I've been to his house before. It's a great place if you've never been. They got free tours every Sunday.
Well, no, it's a little bit of a drive from San Francisco.
I've been there, and he put me in his Hall of Fame, which I was very grateful for. And I wrote a piece in my book, Wrestling Rings, Blackboards, and Movie Sets, that Jimmy Valiant has a wrestling school in Shangri-La. It's on top of a mountain, and you look out, and you see nothing but mountains. It's so beautiful and peaceful, and he's like the guru at the top of the mountain, and
it's like
the
Pai
disciples.
It's like Pai Meng from Kill Bill.
Yeah. Am I exaggerating, Matt? It's like
no. He's on top of the Blue Ridge Mountain, and you can look over it. It's a big farm. It's a huge farm. So
I have a photo of it. I have a photo of it in my apartment because I was very proud that he put me in there. Not that I've wrestled, but just for contributing in various ways to the wrestling business. And we went up there for the induction, and his wife's a wonderful person, and she makes ring gear for the wrestlers. And
and your connection to Johnny Valiant too.
Oh, they're not real brothers.
No, but they were kayfabe ones. They were.
Oh yeah. So yesterday, 2 days ago rather, it was the anniversary of the death of Johnny Valiant, 8 years, and we were very close. And the Valiant brothers, for those who are too young to remember, they were the #1 tag team in the world in the mid to late 70s. And they would sell out Madison Square Garden, 2 out of 3 fall, bloodbaths, and the building would shake. I mean, they headlined the Garden 3 times in a year against Bruno and, speaking of Chiefs, Chief Jay Strongbow. So Jimmy Valiant was huge in New York, and then he did the Boogie Woogie Man gimmick in the Mid-Atlantic, and He's been out there since the 60s. He's been involved in wrestling since the late 60s. How's that?
Yeah, he started in Indianapolis. Yeah, Bruiser.
Yeah, the Valiant brothers, were created, out there, and and then they came to New York. Yeah, yeah.
So tell me how like you first got started in the AIWF. I know you've told us this once before, but you haven't been on the show in almost a year. So I'd like
Yeah,
to
how I got started, I was working for a promotion called All Star Wrestling that ran fairly close to my house, about 30 minutes south of me. And they joined the AIWF. They only had 8 promotions at that time. So that's how I got started. And then I worked myself up the ranks, I guess you want to call it. And now we're at over 150 promotions in 56 countries. So,
But did you like when you were a kid, like think to yourself, oh, one day I'm gonna put together a wrestling federation? Or how did that even enter your mind that that would be something that you'd want to do?
I didn't think it like that, but I thought I'd definitely be involved in professional wrestling. My father, God rest his soul, my father, since I was probably like 4 or 5 years old, anytime he saw professional wrestling, he would take me. He'd be like, "Yeah, let's go." He didn't care where it was. Like it was within like an hour or two of the house. He would take me. But my dad, he grew up watching Jim Crockett, the Crockett's at the Park Center in Charlotte. They used to run weekly at the Park Center, and so like he grew up on it. And so yeah, my dad, he would just take me. And then like my dad, he's a good talker. He's a better talker probably than me. So like he got to know a lot of the guys in the independents. And so like I would just get to carry the bags, and like I felt like I was a superstar, like just carrying a bag or just getting something from the ring when, you know, blah blah blah, running errands. And that's how I met Chief J Eagle actually. And then I helped out down there, and then he has his chop shop that he's had forever. Unfortunately, he doesn't train guys anymore, but yeah. So I mean, that's how I got involved. I was like, dang, I'm in the wrestling business, and it's just been going ever since, I guess.
Now, did your dad see you get involved at this level, or was he around for?
Yeah, he saw me he saw me wrestle. He saw me, be involved, and he saw me, he saw a couple of events I promoted before he passed. But yeah, I mean, it's just like I knew I was gonna be in wrestling, but I'm like, I did everything I'd be in charge of so much. Heck no, I didn't. But just pure dumb luck and people having faith in me, I guess. That's why I am where I am at right now.
So I have an important question. So after this show is taped, I'll post it on various indie wrestling pages. Let's say a promotion watches this, a promoter watches this. How would you explain to them, succinctly, how does your organization work and benefit them? Why would they want to join your organization?
All right, I think that's easy. Number one, the AWF were built on the actual NWA model that they had, back in the original NWA, where it's like, hey, everybody's gonna have their own little territory, but we're gonna work together. But like, we don't control what you book. You run your own shows every week, every month, whatever.
But when you say work together, what is actually done?
Okay, work together. We a lot of talent trading goes on. Like our world champion, he was just in Pikeville, Tennessee last night. He was in Arkansas the day before. And like we try to get all our talent around the horn, and we try to bring in like the top talent. Like you want to get your talent seen, you want to go new places. That's the whole goal.
That's great. That's tremendous. Yeah.
As a promoter, you're always looking for fresh talent. Like, why do you want to scout? Why don't you just come to me and I'll help you out? I'll help you get in touch with people, and we get you some fresh talent on your events. But like I said, we're about our championships being defended around the world. Like I said, our world champion Eric Draven, he's been defending everywhere lately. Our shoot fighting champion Mustafa Jordan, he's defended that belt in Japan, Australia.
Wow.
Yeah, Canada, the United States. Yeah, he actually has a AEW tryout coming up.
Wow, you just sold me. If I was a promoter watching this, I'd connect with you.
Now, one thing that I've been doing, because I really am not thrilled with the modern product except for isolated matches here and there, just, I'm just trying to watch something to entertain myself. Find myself drifting back to older wrestling, and inevitably it connects me back with the South. And I got to tell you, I've been watching a lot of old Mid-South wrestling from around 1986. And it's delicious. It is like opening up a vintage bottle of old wine. and like sipping from it, and watching like young Dr. Death Steve Williams take on Terry Taylor, or watching Sweet Brown Sugar and Coco Beware, getting in the ring for the first, few times they were working as pros, and you see a lot of, young Jeff Jarrett, and you see a lot of so I guess what I'm trying to get to is, what was it about the South in that mid 80s period that made the South so special at that time?
I mean, I think Southern wrestling is different because, like, I mean, the guys that actually wrestle, I mean, no disrespect to the New York scene and all that, but New York was more of a body scene. It was more of it was more of an entertainment than actual wrestling, in my opinion, from what I've seen. But, and we had like the blood and guts, and we had, and like that's what they like down here. They like blood and guts down in the South. But Bill come from that Eddie Graham school of thought, and he come from that Eddie Graham tree of booking. So that's why Mid-South was so successful. Like if you look at everybody that come from that tree of booking, like how successful they were, like Dusty Rhodes, Bill Watts. I mean, even Vince McMahon Jr. spent time around Eddie Graham.
But I think there was also a genuineness of the fans and their desire to just buy the storylines more than you saw, like for instance in the Bay Area or something like that. We did have regular wrestling with the Shire stuff that was going on in big time wrestling, but the storylines were not ones that I think as fans we invested in as much as when I look back at like seeing the Junkyard Dog in his fights up against Skandor Akbar and his men, and seeing Hercules Hernandez for the first time getting into the ring, and Jim Cornette and the Midnight Express. And do you have anything to say about Dennis Condrey and the passing of Dennis Condrey? I know that he was a big feature down in the South for you guys.
Yeah, we actually did a 10-bell salute for him recently on our event. It was sad to hear what happened to him and how it happened. If you hadn't heard, Jim Cornette did a whole thing about that. But yeah, I mean, I think Southern wrestling is just like, it's the fans, they love it, man. They're hot blooded down here. They like, man, they'll come out every week if you got it down here. And like the South was every week, and like a lot of other parts of the country, like you only had to go to a spot like every, couple of weeks or once a month, or even in the Midwest, it was like that. Vern Gagne, he might hit a town every 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah. And that, I mean, it seems like there's an insatiable desire of the Southern wrestling fans to watch wrestling 24/7. I mean, I know there's people everywhere that love it, but there seems like there's so many people in the South that are so involved, that love to see it. I don't know. Did you ever see the show Heels while it was on?
Yeah. I saw that. Actually, our world champion at the time, Damian Wayne, he was Wild Bill's stunt double in that.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I did not know that. That's pretty amazing. Yeah, I thought that was, especially in the second season, I think when they knew they weren't going to be able to finish the whole season out. I mean, that they knew that they weren't going to get any more seasons after that. I think that they started to just throw in as much like indie wrestling like philosophy as they could without just saying, we're just going to tutor everyone on what indie wrestling is all about. But it seemed like they were even abandoning the story. They were just saying, these things need to be said about indie wrestling. So we're just going to say it right here. We're just going to have the characters just say it so we make sure we got it in before the series closed. Did you kind of feel that was how the second season went?
Totally. I felt like they tried to like portray it more, and like they even got away from their core storylines, and it was just all about the drama and like the craziness that actually is the reality of indie wrestling.
Yeah, no, I would love to see that show get picked up somewhere else. I thought it was a great show, and it said so much of the truth. It was great to have CM Punk on there, also kind of directing traffic and giving some real hard show philosophy on all of that,
Glow was great also, and they abruptly canceled it. They never resolved the they left things hanging.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really too bad. Why do you think that it's hard to make like a wrestling television show that's serialized like that? You'd think it would lead right into something along those lines, and it wouldn't be that expensive to do a show because wrestling is made for TV. It's not like you need like a high-tech set and
But it's a large
CGI.
ensemble cast. It's not like a family of four on a sitcom. You know,
But you
you're
don't need
paying.
CGI. You don't need CGI to do a wrestling show. So, what are your thoughts, man?
I mean, I think the issue is like it's a hard fan base because you get your wrestling fan base, but it's hard to keep them in a show like that. I feel like versus like episodic weekly wrestling where like they're seeing the storyline continue.
But a TV show is supposed to be that way too, So it is interesting to me to see wrestling as a concept has no problem with it, but doing a show about wrestling has that problem.
Part of the problem is you'll tape 10 episodes and then the next 10 will come a year and a half later and people have moved on to other things or lost interest or whatever the case may be. Back in the day, you would on network TV, you'd have 24 episodes, so you're more emotionally invested.
But it's just interesting to me to see how a TV show doesn't work, whereas wrestling itself does work, and it is a TV show. So, and it is serialized, at least internally, it is. But
there was a series on Showtime. It was called "I'm Dying Up Here" about stand-up comedians back in the 80s. So in the last episode, the lead is doing so much cocaine that he has a heart attack and he's lying there and you don't know if he's dead or alive. And then they canceled the show.
So I guess he died.
No, you don't know.
Well, I guess
they just
that's our
canceled
conclusion.
the show.
That's our ultimate conclusion.
Talk about leaving you hanging. Oh my God. So yeah, these cable shows are rough because you don't know if they're going to make it to the next season.
What inspires you to make a long-term storyline in AIWF, and how does that work? What makes you also decide, hey, the storyline needs to end and we need to switch to another angle?
Well, thankfully we don't have to do storylines to that extent. I mean, at least where I'm at in the corporate office here, like the local promoters make their own storylines and stuff, but we just got to decide like basically how long somebody's going to hold the belt, like when they're going to lose it, who they're going to lose it to. I have to decide all that, but I don't have to like keep stuff continual. And
what factors do you look into to decide if someone holds on to a belt or not?
I mean, it just depends, like the purpose. Why it depends on the purpose of why they're dropping the belt. Are they dropping it long term? Are they dropping it short term? Who's next up? I mean, obviously you don't want to do heel to heel most of the time, but sometimes you want to swerve with the fans. Yeah, I'm breaking a little too much kayfabe here, but it's 2026.
Oh, believe me, this show is cut kayfabe and chopped it up into little pieces and put it in the food processor. We've gone past kayfabe a long time ago on this show. So go ahead.
You just have to decide, then it's politics as well. Like I said, I'm dealing with over 150 promotions, so I mean, you have to reward promotions for the good work they do and all that. And like if they got somebody that I really believe in, I got to put it in their territory. And I like to spread my belts out as much as possible because I want them defending everywhere. So like I said, our world champion right now, he's based out of Indiana. Ava's based out of Pittsburgh. Our tag champions are based out of Memphis. Our international championship is based out of San Antonio, Texas right now. Our America's title is based out of Ohio. Our cruiserweight belt, he's in Florida. So, I mean, and it goes, on and on and on. So,
well, that is another question. Like, that's one of the problems that I think AEW suffers from is beltitis. Okay, they have so many belts that you really don't even know who's champion of what and who's defending what belt and where, and when a title changes, sometimes it'll change. You'll have 3 belts change in a month, and most people don't know who's currently champion of what particular thing. What keeps you from getting beltitis and belt creep to come into your federation?
I think just because we have so many different promotions and so much of a wide geographic area, even though we have a crap ton of belts, and we probably do have a little bit of beltitis, but but we keep them spread out enough so like they get defended, because most of them are going to defend within like a certain regional radius for the most part. They're going to come out of that radius occasionally. Like honestly, I expect them to defend 2-3 times a month in their general radius, and then the rest of the time outside of that.
2-3 times a month. Wow. Roman Reigns better not hear about this, or he'll break out in hives.
Yeah, I mean, but then you've had them like when Custom Made with our tag team champions, they defend the belts 119 times in 22 states.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is hard work.
That is hard work. That was in like a year, basically.
Wow, I'm very impressed with that. You know, that's great. And I mean, people love to see title matches, so it's great to see you having fighting champions. Of course, you know, one of the things that Evan and I were talking about was, you know, and we've talked about many times, is how there's really no kind of and it's hard for you being an independent federation, but we're hoping that, you know, at some point in time, wrestlers can find a way to, you know, be unionized and be able to get group benefits for working full time. And I mean, your guys are working part time, but for the main feds like AEW and the WWE and probably Next as well and AAA, that those guys that are working, you know, 200 plus, 300 plus days a year, that they can get some kind of unionization benefits, group benefits, medical benefits, and God forbid a pension for what they do. What are your thoughts of that?
Sadly, I think it'll never happen in wrestling, and I think the guys that have figured out how to go with their benefits, a lot of them are SAG members. They go act in movies, they get their SAG, and that's where they get them. Jesse Ventura, he was one of the first guys to figure that out. Go.
Why shouldn't all wrestlers be considered part of SAG? I mean, what's the difference? Why shouldn't they?
I agree, but I think like the big leagues are going to stop that from being happened because they don't want to be under union rules, so they're going to stop that.
But that's not something you would oppose if like the wrestlers you were working with joined SAG, or would you?
No, they can join that organization. It's just like we're not going to be members. We're probably not going to follow union standards. I mean, it's independent wrestling. Like you're lucky to get what you get in independent wrestling. I hate to say it, but.
Well, at least they know that going in, and you're not making $8 billion like TKO is, so that's a big difference, you know.
But I mean, I know guys doing it full time. I know guys running promotions that are making $100,000 a year. Guys, they're running promotions and training camps. They're making $100,000 a year. Wow. I can name 10 people right now that are doing that.
Nice. Well, I mean, but it's probably a lot of work too, and a lot of heartache too. A lot of Rolaids consumed on show nights. I am aware of that.
It's definitely a lot of work.
Have you ever had to cancel a show?
I have, but the only time we had to cancel was once due to weather, and once we had the power grid catch fire at our venue the night before. Oh. We had a double nights, and that Saturday night we finished the show. About an hour later, as a breaker blew and caught the building on fire, and they had to shut the whole power off the building.
Wow. At least it didn't happen during the show. That
we had to cancel the next day, so like it was like we had to cancel.
Wow, that's really something. So tell us about like what your thoughts of for AIWF in the future, and what you want to see, you know, as a future development, where AIWF is going.
Yeah, I mean, where we're definitely going, I don't know if you saw my recent press release. We've started the Young Guns division. It's kind of like we got inspired by the Top Prospect tournament the Ring of Honor used to do and all that. And we're trying to like have a division for the young guys and develop talent, because I think you definitely have to develop that talent, and they have to, you know, move forward. Like you've seen guys like Javon Evans, Jackson Drake, all that go up to WWE recently. Like we used both those guys before they were famous. I mean, we used Andre Chase before he was famous, Cedric Alexander, except the list goes. Adam Page, hell, we used Adam Page when Adam was 19 years old. So, but anyway, you got to develop that next generation of talent. We have our web series, our TV series, AIWF Across the Globe. We're constantly trying to expand it. We're 61 episodes in, thanks to Gorilla Press Productions. They're based up in your area, but they're in upstate New York, up in Rochester area. But we got that show on like several stations. Like we got it on the One Network up in New York, which I don't know if you're familiar with those guys. the one network and one sport, Jay Rios. And we also got it on CUTV, which is ran by the California University of Pennsylvania. It's got another name now, but I can't remember what they call it now. They call it like Penn West or something, but it was originally California University of Pennsylvania. And we also have it on some other smaller stations out there, but I mean, we definitely want to expand that. We want to keep growing. We want to do some bigger events. Like I said, we got Deal with Steel coming up in August here in North Carolina. We'll do 2 nights. And I don't know if you saw it. We'd already announced the AIWF 35th anniversary event next year. We're going to do our first ever fan fest. I call it our fun fest. It's going to be fun, not just for fans. It's going to be fun, people.
Yeah,
and when is that?
Tell us who you have planned for the fan fest.
The fan fest we're working on. We just started working on it. We're going to have some great guests. We're going to have all our promotions there because we usually have our annual convention. And so we're going to have our promotions bring people in. And we're also going to bring in some people that I think everybody's going to be excited to see. I'm not going to give anybody away yet, but because we ain't got our dates hard set yet because we generally book August to August on that venue. So,
because if there's folks that we're in touch with that you'd like for us to recommend to Fan Fest, we'd be happy to tell them to come on down to to go work your Fan Fest. Evan, do you have any more questions for Matt here?
What city will your Fan Fest be in?
It's going to be in Mount Airy, North Carolina, which is where AIWF started. It's Mayberry. It's where the Andy Griffin Museum is, and wonderful food. And you should come get out of New York, come get out the snow.
Yeah. Well, we don't have snow in August. It's hot here in August, but maybe I'll come down. It'll be fun. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, no, Fan Fest can be, a huge reward and you can connect with fans. So, hardcore fans. But the one that we had out here in San Francisco was so bad, we haven't had another one since 2007. It was such a big disaster out here, and the promoters didn't pay the talent and tried to run off with the money. And Scott Norton almost caught them and ripped them limb from limb. That's a guy you don't want to piss off. I saw firsthand. Yeah. And Roddy Piper had to rally everyone around and get people to raise cash funding before GoFundMe existed, so that we could get enough money so that we could fly Superfly Snuka back home to Hawaii, because the promoters only paid for tickets for them to come and said they would get them tickets to fly back, and never gave anybody any of the tickets to fly back, kept the money, and then tried to run off with it. So,
I mean, no problem. I mean, I've been to Wrestle K. They do a great job. I've been to the Gathering in Charlotte. They did a great job. My pal Herb Simmons is having a big fan fest next month in the St. Louis area.
He's a friend of the show.
Yeah, they always put on a great event, and I know it's going to be very successful.
Wow, that's great. So, I again, to wrap things up a little bit, I just want to say it was amazing to have you connect us with Ava. She just really, and if you have other wrestlers that you know of that have that same kind of level of talent, we'd love for you to send them out. I have promotions here in Northern California that would love to bring in that talent, and it would be great if you said, hey, we'd love to see some Californians, on our card, just for the diversity of it. There's people out here that work for Wrestling for Charity and some of the other Bay Area feds that I'm with that would love the opportunity to wrestle outside of California.
Logo behind you, Sir Samurai, he's a member of our organization. He's
Sir Samurai, absolutely. Well, you know about his situation, right?
Oh, yeah, I know about his health situation.
Yeah. So he's kind of, trying to relax a little bit and not be so not doing any wrestling and even just light managing because of his heart situation. So we're all glad. He just had his birthday, by the way. It was yesterday.
Yeah. So he's looking good. He's looking good compared to where he was. I give him credit.
One time at the old Arco Arena, I won tickets for free. I live in the Bay Area, but it was in Sacramento. And I went out to go see the show, and I go to the urinal, and I'm standing right next to Sir Samurai. There's 18,000 people at the show, and I happen to be sharing a urinal stool next to a spot next to Sir Samurai. You never know.
I have a wrestling urinal story for you guys also. So I'm at the Nassau Coliseum in the 1970s, WWF. Billy Graham's the champion. Thousands of people are there. Guy's at the urinal. He drops his sunglasses into the urinal. Okay? So here's the punchline to the story. Without blinking, he just swoops it back up, puts it back like it's nothing. This is a wrestling fan. Okay? I remember this 50 years later, almost 50 years later.
Hopefully he was not working at the hot dog stand.
I don't know. But that really happened. I'm not making that up.
Wrestling fans are a different breed. So why don't you go ahead and give us your contact information, talk about AIWF, how people can see it, if they want to watch matches and so forth.
Yeah, definitely check us out on AIWF Wrestling on Facebook, on Instagram, all that. Look up the AIWF Network on YouTube. Yeah, just hit us up. If you want to hit me up, look up Matt Classic on there. You can reach me. You can email us at AIWF20@hotmail.com. Yeah, we have an old email, folks, but hey, it's been the same email for 35 years. You got to talk to my partner about that one. But yeah.
That's fantastic. Do you have any other thoughts you'd like to give to our fans, or anything you'd like for them to look forward to? So, like your next big event that they can watch on YouTube or so forth?
We always have stuff on YouTube. We have AIWF across the globe every week. Check that out. And just glad to be here, folks. Glad to be with Evan and Russell again. They're great guys. And support them as well. Support us. And, thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Well, thank you so much. When you have your next big event, I mean, when's your 35th anniversary? Did you already have it?
We just had our 34th anniversary 2 weeks ago, and we have our 35th. It'll be in March of next year. So.
Well, we'll try to get you on before then, so you can give a lot of promotion for that, and we can help spread the word for that too. Really great having you on again. You're a great guest, and best of luck to AIWF. And if you can send more people out our way, we'd love to have them.
Definitely will, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, have a great evening, and happy Easter to you.